Hey, this is Bill with verbalbrew.com. I wanted to do a quick little video review today of a game I had a chance to play recently called Rage. As you can see, I got a chance to look at it on the Xbox 360. It's also available for Windows and the PS3. It's brought to us by the folks over at id, who have done probably most famously the Doom franchise, and this is their first original property in quite some time. And it's also published by Bethesda. So the two big kind of heavyweight teams kind of coming together to put this property together. It came out last fall, and it's kind of fell under the I guess fell under my radar, I guess I should say. So there's a couple of reasons I wanted to look at it. One, we haven't had a chance to talk about a lot of AAA titles on our podcast recently. We do a lot of smaller indie games, so I wanted to devote some time to this. I was also curious about this because it came out around just before Christmas, and so much stuff comes out that other things seem to get lost in the shuffle, as this did for me. And also, it seemed to be a bit of a polarizing game in that I read a number of different reviews. Some people put it in their top 10 of the year. Other people weren't big on it at all. So I kind of wanted to see where it fell, and for me, it fell kind of somewhere right in the middle, I guess. Story is, as the game starts out, you wake up as you've been in hibernation in this ark. What has happened is you were kind of put in this ark for approximately 100 years in hibernation because an asteroid's hit the Earth and everything's fell to shit, and they wanted people to be able to rebuild society and civilization when you woke up. Problem is, when you woke up, there's all kinds of mutant people running around. They want to eat your face. There's the Authority. That's quite literally their name. They're not keen on people like you, survivors of this ARC initiative, and they'd like to shoot you as well. I don't know where the bad guy naming department was with id when they came up with the Authority. I guess they were out on vacation or something, but I gotta think there's probably a better name than that out there. Anyway, what you have to do is you're found by survivors of other settlements, and they help you out by getting you to do tasks, and then they help you out with other things as well, so that you can kind of get rid of your old fashion, which is sticking out like a sore thumb, but also to keep you under wraps because there's a resistance building up against the Authority. My first kind of thought about this was that it looks like and feels like a million other post-apocalyptic type shooters out there. And to a point, that's absolutely true. But at the same time, there's enough going on with this that I find it quite enjoyable, actually. First off, I gotta say, the game looks absolutely gorgeous. I almost wish I had a large 60-inch TV to kind of take this all in, because the detail's great. And it have done quite a good job of making it look just like a big epic style game. The detail's gorgeous. Now, this in the exact same breath that I say that, however, there's kind of something lost because the color palette uses this same kind of washed out brown post-apocalyptic thing, style that just kind of makes it all look a bit blah at times. Now, of course, it shouldn't look all shiny and rainbows, so you kind of got to deal with what you got. But as far as the epicness, it kind of looks quite good. So as I kind of mentioned, the actual gameplay involves meeting up with other people and them giving you tasks to do. And for example, you meet up with one guy and he says he needs a thing done. You go off and do it, but to do that thing, you need to go collect something from this other guy over here. Well, when you go see that guy, he wants you to do a thing before he'll give that thing to you, etc., etc. Next thing you know, you've amassed these kind of task lists of things that need to get done, all to get back and do your original task in the first place. So there's plenty to do. You're kind of never have any issues of finding anything. It kind of makes for a bit a linear gameplay. There's not a lot of room for just going around and exploring things. But at the same time, when you have this task list set up, you don't have to do it in a specific order. There are all kinds of little side quests you can do that you can add on as well. There's a job board that you can go to and pick up additional tasks too, little quickie things. So there's plenty going on. The combat works quite well in this. It allows you to carry up to 4 different weapons at one time. And then it's quite easy to go into your inventory and then just swap things out if you run out of ammunition or you just want to try a different approach. There's your usual stuff like pistols and shotguns and machine guns, things like that. But you can also get a rocket launcher, which is quite effective, and a crossbow as well, which is a pile of fun too. The other thing which I quite liked is there are a number of secondary weapons that you can get your hands on. Of course, there's different grenades of various types. They have these cool throwing sticks that kind of almost work like boomerangs. They're quite effective to just either startle a guy or knock him out, or if you're lucky, maybe take his head clean right off if you hit him just right. But the other great secondary weapons that they have are what things you can build using the crafting mechanic. What you'll do is you'll pick up just a lot of little random objects here and there as you're going through maps, and you can use those things to build new things. So, for example, you can buy yourself a remote control car that acts as a bomb. You can put together some stationary gun turrets to set up. You can build these little spider robots that run around, and they have little guns attached to them to go and just shoot everything that moves, which is really handy. And the crafting mechanic is quite well done. I quite enjoyed it. There's a driving component as well, because of course you just have to get from point A to point B, and that actually works quite well. The actual driving works great. As well, there are a number of different races you can compete in. For the most part, they're not mandatory. There will be a handful you'll have to do just because you need this card in order to get to this place, because you're going to get your ass kicked otherwise. So you have to do this race because some guy will put his car on the line, or the car is the prize for winning the race or whatever. But for the most part, if you don't enjoy the races, you can bypass them entirely. There's, of course, different shops that you can go to sell and upgrade things and buy new weaponry and ammo and things like that. All kinds of the usual stuff like that. There's some multiplayer modes as well. There's two different modes specifically. One is for driving, and there's a number of different games under that. The standard run around and shoot the fuck out of everybody on the map. There's also capture, a specific item, and while you're at it, shoot the fuck out of everybody on the map. And I actually had a pile of fun with the driving multiplayer game. There's also another mode called Wasteland Legends, which is basically co-op maps where you and a friend can go through and basically just plow through a map together. But not only do you have to just simply get from point A to point B, there are probably some other little side objectives that you can accomplish along the way as well. So overall, I did enjoy the game, but it's not something I can get super excited about. It's not something I'd say you'd have to run right out and drop everything and go play this now. There's lots of content on here. The game, the Xbox 360 version anyways, comes as 3 discs. I've put in about 12 hours of the campaign so far. There's probably plenty more to go. Plus there's all the multiplayer modes on top of that too. But I think for me, it just felt like a sort of mishmash of other games that we've played before that are kind of similar and really didn't kind of have quite its own identity, just refined. Like, there's some cool characters and things like that and some unique situations, but there's also very much a vibe of I've done very similar stuff to this before. The game I've heard it most compared to is Borderlands, which is not to say that they're the same game at all, but there's certainly enough going on that kind of one can remind you of the other. Borderlands would be a much more, I guess, less serious version of this, but some of the general mechanics of how things are set up work the same. So for a $60 game, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. However, and one of the reasons I found this is because I happened to track it down at a retailer here in Canada for $20. For $20, I definitely recommend giving it a look. Like I say, there's plenty of content on there. Is it game of the year? Shit, no. But there's certainly far worse that you could play out there. And I'm kind of looking for, hoping they come up with maybe a Rage 2. Maybe they can refine some things and make it that little bit better, which could be a really good experience. My other big complaint about the game overall is the title. It kind of is a bland title, and it kind of gets lost in the I think that's for me why I kind of got lost in the shuffle of games last Christmas. It just kind of is a nothing title. It doesn't really tell you anything about what you're playing and what the experience is going to be like. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but hey, maybe it can explain that. But uh, anyways, yeah. So hope you enjoyed this. Catch our podcast, audio podcast that we post weekly over at riveralbrew.com. Thanks a lot. Catch you later.